that you start classes with bows of gratitude because that is so important for keeping these things alive throughout history. So we turn to the side, we think about the idea of the history and how my teacher was taught, my teacher's teacher was taught, and so on down the line. And gratitude feels good. It's a nice thing to remember. And then the gratitude for the group. Thank you for your time, as always. So, change that a little bit. Let's start with the basic and go from there. We stand with our feet directly below our hips. What happens is the skeleton aligns itself so that the head sits in the middle between the hips, and everything else is structurally kind of like a triangle. If you think of a triangle from the top of the forehead to the 2 feet, a very narrow triangle. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that the base of the triangle, the base of my feet being the width of my hips, remains as I step forward with my right foot. That's very important. If it's like this, you're out of balance. It's got to be here. So now I'm going to bring my hands to the dantian here, and we're going to do the basic motion. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go back. We're going to think about the forward and back element today. Now, this is the absolute core motion of the body in some ways, right? You can move in one direction or the other, pushing and pulling. And as I do it, my head does not rise up and down. It's like I'm in a room with a low ceiling. So I can only go forward and back. Forward and back. So we're using this to warm up as well as to just sort of calm our minds and do something that's not super complicated, but you can pour a lot of awareness into. So breathe out as you go forward, breathe in as you go back. Feel every part of the motion from one foot to the other. Now, let your hands disconnect a little bit and feel a pull forward and back that just sways in the wind, so to speak. The movement of the torso pushes and pulls on the arms. So what you get is you get the movement of the mass of the body, the torso, allowing the upper limbs to act like, well, like ropes hanging off of a swing or something, where it just, the movement itself is pulling it, but it's not a movement of its own. It's a result of the torso moving. And what we're going to do is take that and extend it. So what we're going to extend it to is full expression forward, full expression back. So when you come back, palms are going to come up. When you come forward, you're going to push forward with 2 hands, fingers up to the corners in front. So this is an extension of that movement. It feels different because you're doing a lot more stuff, but it is the core elements are exactly the same. Now, really pay attention to your wrist. When you push, bend your wrists, push as if you're pushing from here. When you come back, make sure the palms are up and the wrist is flat here, not bent. And then just for the sake of getting the blood moving a little more, go a little faster. Keep it up. A lot of people call this rowing. It's a lot like rowing, I guess. And now, slow it right down, deep breath in. 2, 3. Feet together, cleansing breath, breathe in. Breathe out. Around the hips and down. Around the toes and up. Push and open. Shake it out. Put your left foot forward. Coming back to the fundamental. Push and pull. Moving the torso forward and back. Forward and back. Breathing in, thinking of the energy coming down and around, breathing out. There's a circle here. I call it the microcosmic orbit. The cycle of breathing. You want to always imagine it going through the whole torso. Now, we're going to go a little faster to the full dynamic movement. So, hands are free. You feel the push and the pull from the torso to the shoulders to the elbows. Really pay attention to the elbows in this position because it's the elbows that connect the torso to the hand in terms of movement. So you have to always keep the elbow alignment. It's a very important principle. And then as you come back, palms come up. As you go forward, palms go forward. Nice and light to start. And then start to really feel the dynamic, especially the push. Thinking about the palms up and pushing forward through your feet. And then pick up the pace a little. And then pick up the pace just a little more. Get the heart rate up a bit. And then slow it back down. 3 very strong, slow ones. 1, 2, and 3. And feet together. Cleansing breath. And up. Around the back of the hips and down. Around the toes and up. Push up and up. So today, as part of the warm-up, I want to actually at least moderately go into how to do a front kick really correctly and use it as a warm-up, but take this and apply it to the form because you do a lot of front kicks in the form. Okay? So if you put your, what do we start with? Right foot. Start with the right foot forward. So you go put your right foot forward and we go back to this idea of going forward and back. Okay? Now, I'm going to take my hands from here because this isn't a practical way to carry my hands if I'm doing a technique. I need to bring my hands up just like the form says. But I'm going to allow my hands to turn in a little bit and sort of think of my centering through my hands, through my body. Now, same motion, forward and back. You feel that push and pull through the hand, it's no different. But what we want to think about is, as I go forward, I'm going to travel forward with my back foot. And then my back foot gets to a point that it's in front of the other foot in cat stance, and the knee comes up, and then the foot comes out, and then I do that whole thing exactly back. So it's still this. It's just that the foot now gets thrown forward, and then it comes back. But the hips are really doing the same thing, okay? That's it. And one more thing about this that I want to point out. From a tactical standpoint, from the martial arts standpoint, if I'm standing like this, and you see me go like this, you know exactly what I'm about to do. But if I go like this, and my foot comes in here, it's hard to read that. You don't know exactly what that person's up to. And then the kick can come out of nowhere. Okay? So again, we're warming up with it, but that is how you want to think of your kicks. Okay? From here, and we're going to do 10. Extend the foot, stay very low, keep your head low, and think of the leg as an extension of your torso, being thrown forward as you move forward. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So all the same dynamic. Think of that push and pull and try to minimize any movement but the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Shake it out. One more thing for the legs. Nice strong leg day today. Hands forward, back straight, and as low as you can go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. There you go. So there's a lesson there that I want to point out. The idea that these movements we warm up with here, whether they're turning, we're going to go to the sideways concept in a second, forward or back though, this is how techniques come out from the body, right? I'm doing a punch, or I'm doing a push. It's an extension of the center moving forward. Your kicks are the same thing. My center moves, my foot extends from the center in the same way. So when we're in the form, I come up, I'm drawing into my center, I'm connecting my hands and my feet as one thing in my mind, and I'm pushing out from the center, which is it's just a very, very controlled version of that idea. Okay? So put your feet out. And then one more qigong before we stretch. Start the form, hands to here, and relax. Just take a moment, make sure that you have the pelvic tilt so the lower back is straight, head up, balanced. Now, starting with the right hand, think about catching a sparrow by the tail, this position of the hand coming up and out like this, but do it in front of you. And then thinking about taking off the helmet where your hand comes right behind your head. It rises up and it goes all the way behind your head. Then you turn to the right and your hand comes down in an arc. And then it follows a path back to where it started from as you come back to center. Okay, so one of the key things here is relax the elbow, relax the shoulder. Think of the muscles on your back that tie your shoulder to your hips. Okay, breathe in. Over your head, turn, hand comes down. And it gets to about the height of your hips, you turn, and it follows you back. Okay, 5 of those. Breathe in. Breathe out. Last one. Fill the body, fill the belly full of air, lots of air in. Right from your feet. Take a moment to rest. Switch hands. Left hand, 5 times. Last one. Full breath in. Full breath in. Feet together. Now these are standing cleansing breaths, so you don't go to the ground this time. Breathe in, gather. Above your head, pull down. And down past the ribs and push through the hips and down. Keep your knees bent and your back straight. 2 more. Last one. And relax your breathing, shake it. So we'll do a stretch. But one of the themes that I'm introducing, I'm going to talk about more and more and more over time is, of course, everything is generated from the body outwards, right? Like it's always the strength of the torso to the hands. I mean, I've talked about that all along, but there's the ability to, you can relax for a second actually while I explain this. There's an ability to take the body forward and back and use that as a way to push and pull through the limbs. So there's the limb extension, forward and back, right? This direction. But there's another one that comes up that's very important that comes out to the side and to the 90-degree angle. And this is an important range. My right arm has a lot of abilities within here to there. That's the range of its scope. Beyond 90 degrees, I can't really do much very well, right? I'm not going to do a lot of good this way. So this is an important spacing. In terms of all your techniques, you're basically going to keep within that range and be utilizing how you turn your body relative to those angles. Okay, so that's the framework that will come up again and again. So we did that going forward, and then we did it going to the side. Okay, so feet out, sink down, point your toes out, and relax, stretching. Side to side. Put your feet forward, fingertips on the ground, sink down. Move your fingertips forward, about 1 inch off the ground, extend. Twist elbow to the knee, look up. Other way. Straighten your back. Turning to your left. Push your feet to the left. Rotate both feet that way. The left foot can actually turn out to the side even and push your weight in. Think about an exaggerated version of the posture in the third set. Really working on the stretching on the toe. From here, put your hand down for support, heel up, and sink nice and low. Put your back knee down, push your weight forward against your front foot. And shift up, walk your hands back to your right foot, Tai Chi stretch, left foot, toes in the air. Hands to the middle, straighten the back, turn to your right, and push. Pushing even more. Lean it forward, bring your head over your foot. Can. And down, heel up, runner stretch. Back knee down, push the weight forward. Walk the way back to the left foot. Nice to the middle, work the feet in. Straighten the back of the knees. Breathe in. Breathe out. Circle the hips. Try to keep your head in one spot, and then the other way. Good. Shake it. Hands out. Now, small circles through the wrists and the elbows. You're swimming, although you would never swim anywhere doing this, but kind of like you're swimming. And then the extension as you roll up is what we want to focus on. So think about that idea here. And then just allow that to get bigger a little bit each time. Until you get to full circles there and around. Feel that it's the rotation around that really is the maximal stretch. Nice and slow though, still really feel it. And then down. Arms up again, this time palms up. And then just the wrists and the elbows essentially start, feel the motion that way. And then from here, that's the rotation point right here. And turn back down. So it rotates at the extension, rotates at the extension. Bigger, bigger, and bigger. Full circles. And then drop. And this is all about complete relaxation when you drop. There's no tension. Breathe in. And just drop. 2, 3. And then reach up. Look up at your fingertips. Relax your back. Make sure you're not stressing your back. Weight forward, heels up, push up, stretch up. And then heels down, grab, and pull. Other way, grab, and pull. Down, reach up again. And now rotate the palms to the outside, go to your tippy toes. Relax your back, push your thumbs up, look up between your thumbs and extend. And then bring your heels down, reach behind your head, pull your elbow back. Drop, reach the other way, pull your elbow back. And down, shake it. Good. I know we don't do this every time, and I don't want to do this every time, but I think once in a while it's a good idea. We're going to do a little bit of a self-care acupressure thing for our shoulders. I think we've done it before though, so I'm not going to go into super good detail, but if you have any questions, you can always ask me. The idea is to support your elbow, so my left hand supports my right elbow. I make a loose fist with my right hand, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use this part of my hand here to be like a, I don't know, a stone. I'm going to massage the shoulder up here with this. Now I'm going to do the shoulder and I'm going to come up towards the neck and be lighter on the neck, but then stronger on the shoulder. Okay, so just do that for a moment. And then, like the first part of the form, grab and pull and find where the muscles are most tense. Massage into those spots. Somewhere in here, there'll be something that will have some attention-seeking nature to it. And dig in and hold it, breathe. Relax. And then bring your hand down. Take a breath. Shoulder feels more relaxed, I'm sure. Let that sink, let that just melt, and then up to the other side. And then grab. And again, as usual, finding the place that requires the attention, giving it the pressure that it's asking for. Squeeze and breathe. Relax everything else. And down. Shake it out. And then that doesn't feel a lot better. So from here, my shoulders are actually relaxed. You really get into a good wrist stretch. So from here, stand, make sure the arm has a downward angle, grab across between the base knuckle, or the first knuckle, the base knuckle and the first knuckle here, so that your index finger is at the pad of the hand. And then I use the tip of the finger to get the thumb. And then I fully stretch the arm here. Keep the shoulder relaxed. Keep everything else relaxed. Just maximally stretch. And then relax, come in, rotate the palm. Now the pinky finger is at the pad of the fingers. And then you push back, and now you're holding a teacup and you're pouring the tea back towards yourself. You come in to the center, turn the palm over, grab, use your thumb like this. Don't let it get pushed this way. Point with the thumb, and twist. Now, feel a connection from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder when you turn the wrist here. Feel that connection. And holding that connection, bring your hand away. And then from here, your elbow's already in place. Don't move your elbow. Turn your hand over, palm down. Grab the top of the hand, put your middle finger along the ridge of the knuckles, and press down. And then press down and out to the side. Shake. And then the right hand. Over. All the details, hold the teacup, pour the tea. Around. This is another teacup, by the way. I'm just rotating the cup this way. Away from the body, staying connected to the shoulder. And then around and pushing down. And to the outside, push down. and give it a shake. So if this helps release the shoulder, which gives you a better arm stretch, before we stretch the neck, here's a couple points that are kind of good to help the head relax. Because that, usually that's a good thing when your head relaxes. So bring your hands up to here like you're holding a ball. And then take your fingers and go across the side of your eyes and make contact with your middle fingers just behind the line of the eyes. Maybe half an inch in, and feel for a kind of a hollow point. This is, people instinctively do this all the time anyway, right? You rub your temples. So look for the depression. There's the lowest point along where the skull is in here, so the low point, and then gently massage that area. Now, when you're doing a point like this, as opposed to say up here where this is muscle and you can do a lot of strength, this is no strength. This is just touch, just sensation. So don't be strong, just really be aware. And then a gentle pressure and the idea in your mind of connecting the points between your fingers. And then bring your hands up. Put your middle fingers one on top of the other and go through the center line to the top of the back of the head, here where the spine would emerge if it kept coming up. And then massage that point. It's another depression. It's a low point. It's around just as the skull comes back. So if I drew a line from the top of my ears and where it connects is right there. So massage that point. But again, this is a sensation-based point. It's not a pressure point. Just use your intuition, very gentle movements, focus the energy. Bring your hands down. And the final one, make the trifecta, the three of them, is go to here, all fingers but index finger down. So you have this position, and then bow. And where your index fingers touch between your forehead, between your eyebrows, is the last point. And now you can even close your eyes. Just massage this point, become aware of this point. And then raise your head, open your eyes, bring your hands down. So that is three very important points for the head. Tai Du 20, Yin Pong. These help really orientate the fundamental sort of energy of the head. So hopefully that was something you enjoyed doing. I just kind of throw that out once in a while. Now turn your head side to side. Roll your chin, roll your chin, roll your chin, and roll your chin. And look forward, up, down, and around. 1, 2, 3. Other way. 1, 2, 3. Actually, Tai Yang here, the point on the side of the temple, that's the point you're attacking when you do eagle spreads its wings and you do this strike. That's the point right there. This point gets attacked once in a while too. You can hit people on the top of the back of the head, but it's rare. And then you would probably never strike here. That's quite silly. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So just to put it in martial art context. Anyway, if anyone wants to do water really quick, I think I'd like to have a quick drink of water myself. Okay. I see that, but I don't think anybody else is back yet. Okay. So what we're going to do is, of course, we're going to keep, there's a new person in the class still, so I'm going to keep going through some of the, refresh everybody's minds on some of the basics. But for the people that have learned the whole form now, we can't really review the whole thing in detail, as you know. So you can determine what I focus in on if you want. Your practice of it might give you a question, give you a thought, give you an inspiration. And if you can share those, then it helps kind of direct where the class goes, because there's literally so many things I could do, and I'll make decisions and I'll do them. But if you have instincts, if you have insights, I want to let you follow up on that. I want you to explore your intuition towards these things, okay? So just keeping that in mind in general. But let's go back to the beginning a little bit and review a little bit further from where we started for the new person. I actually don't know how far I went with that. So I'm going to assume that we reviewed up to here and then to the turn, but didn't do catch the sparrow by the tail last week. That's the beginning review. I'm assuming that. Okay, let's go with that. All right. So from here, relax, step out, hands fall, eyes forward, breathe in and down. Turning to the right, push down. As you pick up the thermos, aim yourself to the left corner, left foot steps, throw to the corner. Rock your weight back to your right foot, turn the left foot in, complete a 180-degree turn, pulling the right foot in, protecting your head and your chest, pushing out. Okay, so that's, I think, what I did last week. So I'm going to go into catch a sparrow by the tail this week as a review and an introduction for the new. I see somebody here who's 16048. Are you the person who's new? Can you let us know? Is that possible? I'm trying to make sure we give you exactly where we're at. Okay, I don't know if they're gonna respond. I'm gonna guess that anyways. I like reviewing catch a sparrow by the tail, and then I'll try to keep track.
We did not go as far. So I think last week for the first set, we only went like this to grab this area because you were explaining it, and then I think this would be the second, yeah. Okay,
great, thank you, Bruno. Okay, I maybe should make some notes at the end of the class actually to keep track of it. Okay, so if that's the case, then great, this is going to be a good thing to do. So we come to here, we turn to the right. I bring my hands down as my weight comes onto my right foot. This is pouring the water, right? I pour the water and I get to a point where if I lean any more forward, I'll lose my balance. And if my hands fall any more with my body tied to them, then I go too far forward. So it's this maximal point without going forward here. And what you want to do is you want to think about being on the edge of a cliff. Right? There's a cliff right here in front of you, and you're looking over the edge of it. And that brings your weight to the front of your right foot. Okay. So just go from here again. I turn, I bring my weight down on my right foot, and you think about like you're leaning over the cliff here. It's right there, you're looking down. Now, from here, all my weight being on the front of my right foot, I'm going to raise my head back up, and as I do, spiral to the corner on the front of the right foot. So the heel rotates out. And that's really important actually. Where are my helper things here? If I was taking this stance here, which is a very common stance in weapons, and I want to compare to this, what you want to imagine is that you're here, and then the weapon rises straight up. It's not coming up like this, but it comes straight up this way, close to your body. And what that does is it teaches you that when I'm here, and I think of rising straight up with the weapon this way, that if I had to grab somebody and pick them up to do a throw, I'm going to keep them very close to my body here. And that's really important. You're never going to do anything with strength like way out here. It's got to be close to you, right along the side and come up. Okay? So I go to here, I pour down, and now I rise up, spiraling into the front of the right foot, and I look to the corner. And when I look to the corner, my left hand it's not flat this way, it's curved in. It's got that beautiful lady's hand shape. So does this one. And you keep the relative distance between the hands as you throw. And you keep the alignment of the middle of the palms the whole time, right to the end of the throat, okay? So again, from here, I come up, I'm aimed to the corner, I have the thermos. I do my step with my left, and then I throw, and I keep the integrity of the thermos, I keep it intact. Okay, so that's the move. Let's review it from the beginning, I guess, actually. So from here, raise up your hands, lower your hands, turn to the side. Now push down, maximum, look over the cliff. Rise up close to the body and throw. Maximum throw is when you get to the point that you can't go more forward again without tipping. It's the maximum here. Okay, what are you doing? Well, the principle is this. First, I don't want to fight, right? I get my hands up, I create a barrier. I can use this as a self-defense into itself, right? Going into the pressure points here, going in the eyes, whatever it is. The person in that case would be reaching, their hands get knocked away, you do the pressure point here, they fall back, and now we're thinking about them coming in with a big crazy haymaker sort of punch. With the right hand, most likely. Statistically, if somebody throws a wild punch at you, it's more than 50%, 60% is going to be the right hand, so there's a certain tendency to assume that. So the hand comes in like this. Now you can see the travel of this hand, it's coming up, and then it's coming down, but it's relatively straight line, right? It's moving in like this, kind of like an airplane. That's a pretty common way for that punch to be thrown. The other thing that it can do is it can come in from the side, but that's more rare. We're going to assume that it's coming in forward. And so if that punch is coming at me here, and I just turn like this, it'll go down past me right here. It'll move here. And this is, of course, opening up the space for the person to enter into the void. They're throwing their weight into this nothing. There's nothing there. Now, as you do that, so everybody visualize this in your mind best you can. There's a right hand punch coming very slowly at you. And you turn, as the form teaches you, to the right. Your left hand is going to go on the outside of that right punch. Just the left hand for now. And what that does is it creates a barrier by which the back of the arm is being blocked here by your left hand. Okay? So go ahead and try that in your mind. Go to here. Now see that. There's a right hand punch coming in, and as it comes in, you let it go by you, but you hold it at bay with your left hand. Now your left hand, when it does that, has to be behind the elbow. Behind the elbow here. If your left hand's in front of the elbow, they can bend their elbow and they'll just move in on top of you. But if it's behind the elbow and they try to move towards you, you can stop them. Okay, so that's the left hand. You're here, the right punch, where the punch comes in and it goes there. Now the right hand, with its palm facing you, is on the inside of the right wrist. So your left hand is on the outside of the elbow here, the right hand's on the inside of the wrist here. Okay, so you have this relationship in their arm. It's like this. One side and the other, palm out, palm down. And that's when you push down. Okay, so the punch comes in, you let it go to the side, you connect elbow and wrist, and then you push it down. Now again, it's interesting explaining it this way because it's like, you know, if you did it once, you'd see it in a more clear fashion, but this is so important. Okay, elbow and wrist. The elbow prevents the person from moving towards you. So if they throw the punch, if I throw the punch towards you all this way, and you kind of think about that, so do the move, go to there, right? Your left hand is right here, okay? Right against the back of my elbow. Now, if I try to turn towards you, you put pressure on that point and I get stuck like this, you see? That's really important. If you put your hand in the front of the elbow, I'll just bend my elbow and come through. That's also why when you're here, you can push the person down and they will go down. If your hand is in front of the elbow will just bend, it doesn't matter. But if you're behind the elbow and you push down like this, the person has no choice because the elbow will push into the shoulder to bring themselves down. Okay, that's all connects. It's all really important part of those details. So you go to here, you see the right punch coming in at you, you let it go by, your left hand is behind the elbow, your right hand's on the inside of the wrist, put sort of, it's like a counter pressure, like one hand's kind of pulling in, one hand's kind of pushing forward, and that it really hyperextends the elbow. And then you put that pressure largely through the left hand down on the elbow to bring the weight down. So if that was me and I was here, of course my instinct would be to come up and back, right? This would be, I don't like that. I want to pull away from it. So that's what you let them do. You let them come back up. And as you let them come back up, and this gets back to the reason I said that, imagine you see this technique of, you imagine this idea of raising the weapon up like this. I'm not doing it out here, right? I'm going close to my body here. And what that means is that you have to allow yourself to be very close to their arm as you come up like this. Their arm is right in front of you, you're holding it right here, okay? And so you raise it up, and as you do, and this is hard to explain, I kind of have to, I'll try to explain it, is the person reaches in like this, right? Their arm comes down. You put your hand, as if you're doing this stretch, on the top of the wrist here. You bend this hand in like this, and then your left hand behind the elbow is going to create a thermos between your wrist and the elbow. So there's a pressure here against the wrist and the elbow here. And that's what's holding, what you're doing with this hand. And then you put pressure against this point. If you want to try this yourself for a second, just put your hand in that stretch and go further than you would normally want to for a stretch, and a quick little pulse. Don't go too hard. And you go, oh, geez, yeah, that's no fun. That's what you're doing right here, is you're putting that pressure on the wrist here, and that pushes their arm back, and then you go with that to throw them. So the person comes down, they rise up because that's what they want to do. They end up with this wrist lock on them. You send their arm back, and they just go flying back. Okay, so one more time. I'll face the camera so you can see my hands. So I come up, and I come down. I turn to the right, and now left hand is on behind the elbow, right hand is on the inside of the wrist. I push down on the elbow to bring them down. They rise up, and as they do, I grab the top of their hand with my right hand, and I hold their elbow with my left hand. And then I put pressure on the wrist with my right hand, and I step and I throw them away like this. Okay? Now, there's something that we can't do right now because we can't train with people, but I want to bring it up in relationship to this. Push hands. These exercises called push hands. I've talked about this before, I'm sure, but what happens is two people will face each other, they'll connect their wrists in some way, and then they'll move in a very specific pattern in a relationship to each other. So if you imagine somebody was in front of me who was standing in the same position with their left foot forward and had their right hand up, and they pushed at me, and I deflected the push, then I pushed at them, and they deflected the push back, and we just had this back and forth, okay? This is push hands. I'm pushing my hands with another person. Everything in martial arts is push hands. Everything is push hands. This is push hands. What I mean by that is that you're putting this pressure down on this person to come down, and they're going to resist. And you're going to be super aware of that resistance because you're going to give them as much resistance as they need to utterly commit to coming back up. And when they come back up, you're going to use that sudden freedom that they're being given to trap their limb, trap the wrist. And then here, you're going to send an impulse through the wrist to the brain to send their arm back. And when that happens, you push hands with that. You continue to move with that motion you created. So there's all those dynamics are always there in the form. Okay, so that was my review of that sequence. Next week, then we'll do catch the sparrow by the tail. And I know how to remember that now, so that's great. Okay, any questions? Of course, as always, I keep saying this. Any questions, please let me know. Questions are great. From the beginning, one more time, just that part. Pressure. Release the pressure. Throw. Okay? So, everybody else, yeah. We're going to just take one movement and we're going to look at it again and hopefully add some dynamic to it. Let's take one of the kick sequences. Let's take the kick sequence at the end of the first cloud hands. So if we imagine that we started the form facing here, we do the first cloud hands in the second set here, and I reach out and back, and strike. Turn the circle, pick up foot, kick. Other side to make it balanced. Kick. Okay, so let's edit out the beginning of that actually. Let's just go to the point that we start here, like this. So my feet are shoulder width apart. My left foot steps forward, my left hand comes up and clears. My right hand just comes up to here. Okay, so that's the first part. And then I strike. Okay, so striking is part of push hands. Push hands is to give you the sensitivity of reading the response of the other person so that you can continue to work with whatever's happening in the situation. When I do a strike, it's not just like I'm blindly hitting something. I'm hitting something and I'm getting all the information I can about that as it happens. And that's going to give me the cue to what I do next. So this movement should go like this. Open the space, strike. And you strike and you're still right there, you're reading it. So the person gets struck. And then they're just sort of standing there for a moment. You have an opportunity, you grab the back of their head and spin them around. But you don't do it like strike, grab the head and don't think about it. You strike and you look, yeah, I can grab, I can do the next thing. You're paying attention and you're having patience. Okay, so that's gonna go like this. 1, 2, and now here, I want you to think of that kick we were practicing. Here, up, out, and then come back. Oh no, we're gonna do the other side, my apologies. Kick, and then we go to the other side, strike, read, see that it's appropriate to do the move, kick. Okay, practice it like that. Good martial art version of it, okay? 1. Okay, just a couple times. We're gonna run out of time in like 30 seconds, so just a couple times. Okay, see if you can do it again. Good, good, good. I can see it. I can see you guys are doing great, actually. It looks pretty good. So here's the thing that I wanted to finish with, and this is the idea of push-hands relationship, is that people often, when they start moving quickly, will tense up, and I mean their mind will also tense up, and then they lose the ability to read the information being gathered by that technique. So hitting something, striking, is not to go like this and blindly just hit something. It's what's the result, and pay attention immediately to that result. And it becomes it's an act of sensitivity in high speed. Okay, so that's part of what last week's thing is those film strips. It might be quick movements, but in your mind, all of the detail of what's going on is still clear. You're calmly accessing it. You're not tensing your mind as you do that. And with that, thank you for your time. As always, keep training. Have a wonderful week.